Cool. So when you're ready, producer, send us down to that matchup. Let's have a little look at how they're getting on. And let's talk about the decks that we're going to be seeing in there as we move down to it. So we've got Ponza versus Jeskai Ephemerate. Talk to me about him.
So basically, Ponza is probably one of the best deck in the format, one of the most played in the format. He revolves around playing... revolves around playing a lot of land destruction, and this specific list is also playing a Thermocast in the main. While the other deck, Jeskai Ephemerate, is maybe one of the fewest control decks in Pauper. It's basically similar to a Jeskai control deck we see a lot. This specific version, though, is playing energy cards. So we see Tune the Narrative, draw card, gain 2 energy, and also Galvanic Discharge. That basically it's the energy bolt.
Also, Jolted Awaken in it as well. You know, we can cycle it. We can add a bit more energy if we need to. We can also bring back something from the graveyard if, again, we want to go that route with it. But it's really cool to see that Modern Horizons 3 is having such an impact, not just on the affinity decks, not on the sneaky snacky decks. Now also seeing energy cropping up into Pauper. We were speaking about this yesterday, and we were just spitballing some decks with some of the synergies that we now see in Modern Horizons 3. Maybe that'll make an impact. We just spoke about energy, and it's going to be sick to see that now energy is here at 4 on records. We're picking up a great start. As both players are off to the races, Ponza on the bottom of your screen versus Jeskai Ephemerate at the top. Turn 1 elf, and we do not have a way of getting it off the battlefield. This is where things can get scary.
But I think it's quite smart to start with an artifact land, because the big draws from Ponza revolves around getting your opponent land removed onto 2, while since the land is indestructible, this plan is already doesn't work. And yeah, I think...
Oh, my words. Talk to me about what a blowout we just saw there.
Yeah, I think the Ponza player was a bit skeptical about enchanting his own forest again. But he went for it, so probably his hand is probably 2 Cascaders. I think very mana-intensive spells. So I think if that's your plan, I like the 2 roll. But otherwise, I prefer to be a bit safer, because this way, of course, your opponent doesn't ramp. So we will see. I'm very curious about the outcome of this, but I don't think it was a super big blowout.
Just for the record, I would have been blown out there. I would have also put all my Utopias on the same one, just purely because I wouldn't have been playing around a Wildfire coming down on that turn and getting gotten. But you saw the kind of them stutter a little bit. They're like, do I put it on the same one? Will they have it? I'm not entirely sure what we're against. But being able to go up against the red-blue artifact land, that could be a number of different decks in the format. That is, of course, Pauper. So it does slow us down, because otherwise we would have been able to cast some of our 6 and 7 mana spells multiple turns ago, and that might have been just too much for us to run away with. But it looks like we're still hitting land drops every single turn. Access to 7 mana this turn. Yeah, 7 mana. We must have something to do here.
Yeah, it might also be that they wanted to prevent Cleansing Wildfire on your opponent land to ramp. So it was kind of a bait, even if it's a 2-for-1, of course. So
this feels like it's going to be really good in this sort of against a deck that doesn't really utilize its creatures too well, is being able to play Avenging Hunter, letting us go into the dungeon. And every upkeep that the damage hasn't been dealt to us, we'll be able to go 1 chapter through, or go through the next step of the dungeon until it's complete. If our opponent deals damage to us, combat damage to us, then they get to start going through the dungeon as well. And then we have this little bit of race going forward in the dungeon. First step, of course, is go find a basic and put it into your, I believe it's hand.
Yeah, it's hand.
Yeah, so that mountain that we just saw there, that is actually in hand, but we're leaving it up just to show our opponent, yeah, this is what's in my hand. Yeah. And one of the best Magic cards of all time, Brainstorm?
Yeah, I think so.
Legal in this format, and we're going to see that on the stack now.
Yeah, I always say that Brainstorm is the best spell ever printed. Of course, besides the Power 9. I love it.
Besides the Power 9, okay. Yeah. That's one for chat. Is there a card better than the Power 9 and Brainstorm? Was Brainstorm number 10 on the best cards ever printed?
I think so.
You think it's hard to argue. That card is extremely good. Even in a format like this, where we don't have fetch lands, so to speak, but we do have lots of ways of cycling through our deck, or discarding a bunch of cards anyway.
Yeah, it's also like a card that really shine if you're a good player, and it's terrible if you're a bad player. So you know, maybe I like it because each time it's in my hand, I see a lot of different scenarios where if I cast it early, if I cast it late, if I cast it with a fetch or with a cycler or blind because I'm willing to find something. So it's a card that really makes my head buzz.
I'm the opposite end of the spectrum. I like Orcish Bowmasters. I love it when people cast Brainstorms and I go in response, and then that little counter battle happens. I love that when that happens in Legacy. Unfortunately, Orcish Bowmaster not legal in this format just yet. They haven't downgraded it to a common. As we're gonna look again at the top three, add one of them to our hand. It looks like a red card. I think that might be the energy one, the new one that's been obviously printed in MH3, which. Galvanic Discharge. There you go. I've got to start getting used to these MH3 cards, saying them out loud. I'm sure it's not going to be the first or last time I say it in my casting career. Here we go. Second part of the dungeon. Do we want to go left or right? Do we want to add 2+1/+1 counters to one of our creatures, or would we like to scry 2 before our draw step? Or maybe we missed it. We're going just straight hard cast. Maybe we missed it. I think we did point to it, but maybe it was a bit too late by the time we've drawn the card. We've missed that step. Maybe a little bit of a misplay there, but is what it is. That is Magic the Gathering, especially live paper Magic. A little bit of pressure being on in the feature match at times. Also, when I tend to misplay more when I think I'm really far ahead. That's when I misplay most. Is when I think I know I've got this. That's great. Yeah, I'm crushing it. Oh yeah, I can miss that, or I can do that. It's not going to punish me too much. Then the next thing I know is I've lost the game, and I'm like, oh, where did it all go wrong, Will? Get back in the booth, Will. As we can see, this Avenging Hunter turned sideways because not only does it start the initiative, it has also got a big body attached to it, a 4/5 trampler.
Yeah, I think this move is probably correct, even if your opponent can kill the Arbor Elf and jump attack into stealing the initiative. So it might turn out bad if your opponent has like a Murmuring Mystic plus a removal spell. Otherwise, I think it's probably correct to start to put some damage through.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we definitely have to start turning things sideways. I'm looking at the main. There's one Destroy Evil in the main, so that's actually going to be a nice hard removal at some point in this matchup. If we can start getting it out of our graveyard, that'd also be ideal. Other than that, we're going to need a lot of energy to use one of these Galvanic Discharges to get something like this Generous Ent off the battlefield. Of course, it does have 7 toughness and does bring along with it, going to point out, that food token. This is the Paupergeddon exclusive token made purposely for this weekend. There's a bunch of them. You're holding one of them up that on the small screen that nobody will be able to see. There you go. That's the one that everybody gets for turn up this weekend. So it's there's I think there's not just the food one, right? There's a couple other tokens for each day that you manage to turn up and play, and we're seeing one of them used now. So to good effects, it's a very well used token in Magic currently, seen in multiple formats, and realistically, in this matchup, maybe it's probably just going to gain us free life. There's no synergies with it, but when you see it in some of the other artifact decks, etc., they really utilizes all the artifacts, no matter what they are. If it's a food, if it's a blood token, whatever, that's where they're going to get real effect from it. In this, it's just going to act as free life.
Yeah, I think also like gaining free life in Pauper is a very huge swing when like a lot of creatures attack for 1 or 2. So race-wise, sometimes it's basically a time walk.
Yeah. Sometimes. Especially, there's a lot of, we saw there's the Rakdos Madness decks floating around. There's the Mono Red decks. That's the 3rd and 4th most played decks this weekend at Paupergeddon. But over 656 players battling out and bringing those decks. So being having a way that you can gain extra free life if you need to might give you that extra turn you need to just be able to win the match.
Yep.
But back to this match, we're just turning and burning, kind of setting up a little bit more. We've got a little bit of energy at this point. We've drawn a few cards. We're sculpting our hand. How do these Just Game for M8 decks tend to win the match?
So basically, once you have a lot of cards, you tend to flood the board with flyers created by Murmuring Mystic. So usually you win the game with Murmuring Mystic, and to stabilize, you have Union of the Third Path that gains 1 life for each card in your hand. So you start to loop that card, because you also play Archaeomancer plus Ephemerate to create a synergistic loop that draws you 1 more card every turn. So it's basically a mid-range deck that tries to transition into a late game that can't lose.
So we're holding off. Then we're going to try and pump the brakes. So we'll stop what our opponents do in the first couple of turns, and the later the game goes, that's where we're going to start going to the skies, making a load of 1-1s, turning them sideways, and winning the game. If we get there, though, because if you look at the battlefield now, a lot of mana is being tapped. That's 4, that's 5, 6, 7. There's only one 7-mana spell in this deck, and it is going to be a big cascading dinosaur, which comes along with an acid moss.
Yeah, and since the third Augur of Bolas found an ephemerate, it was a very good draw. The acid moss would be great, I think.
Well, it's going to deal with that. So basically, it destroys one land on the other side, and you now get to go ramp and put a land into your a basic land type into play. When I play this Boris convert list. What am I talking about? This Ponza list. I play a lot of snow basics. I play the snow version, so I can utilize Scred as one of my advantages. I haven't seen that much this weekend. I haven't barely seen any sort of snow lands. Is there a reason behind that? Is it not worth playing snow-covered basics with Scred these days? Is it better just to play more, Chrysalists or whatever?
Yeah, I think interactions aren't great in this deck. First, because sometimes you cascade into that, and it's quite terrible. But also, I think they play bad with how you sequence with mana, and is a bad card in mulligans. I think this deck has to mulligan to a specific opener, so keeping with Scred is not great. So I think, of course, you lose a bit of the high-end matchups, so you have worse combo matchups generally. But for the rest, you interact with the board with your attackers and blockers. So I think it's probably the right choice. Also, on a very, very small note, if you play Snow Basics, your opponent can gain 1 life with Thermocast.
Yep, they can. Very small
bit
basics.
of a flavor text, but it occurred that I lost games because my opponent gained that 1 life that made them survive.
Okay, so it looked like we had a point of damage on the Hunter, then we used 4 energy to get it off the battlefield. Before we did that, there was a Brainstorm that was cast on the stack. I think a lot of that happened end of turn. Island is going to be played for the turn now, so that gives us up to 5 mana. No white, though, as you mentioned. We managed to get that out of here with the Acid Moss. And here's the card that you were speaking about. This is a way to generate a lot of 1-1 flyers, right? Every sorcery or instant we cast, we generate a 1-1. Oh, what's the token it makes? A flying bird?
Yeah.
It is a flying
Blue
bird.
bird. Yeah, I think Murmuring Mystic is quite a clock for this deck because the Ponza deck has no business in removing it. So now he needs to turn his deck into an aggression.
So this might be a bit awkward now because obviously we're going down. I think we went down the scry route. I think we scryed 2 instead of going down the +1/+1 route. So the next ability through the dungeon is either we can goad a creature into attacking. So that might be a way to get it off the battlefield. If we goad the Mimic into having to attack next turn, we can block it with a generous Ent or something like that. I actually don't hate that line. It's very rare that that's the one we see. Maybe we missed the going through the dungeon again, as another Acid Moss is now on the stack. What are we going to be pointing this one to?
I think I would still try to destroy the landscape.
Okay.
So I want to use a couple of minutes to talk about landscape because those cards are amazing for Pauper. And if you still play Evolving Wilds, you should for sure play the landscape. First, because they're kind of free as a change. It's quite the same. But second is you end up cycling it sometimes. And having 1 mana when you develop is great. Like I was playing Fairies last week, and having the possibility of keeping the colorless land plus Lorien makes your deck consistent again. And especially like if you're playing Snuff Out, you can fetch it for black and Snuff Out immediately. So I really think those cards are an underrated big upgrade for the format.
Yeah, I agree. I think when they were printed, I was like, whoa, Pauper just got an absolutely huge advantage here. Just being able to utilize some of these free color mana bases that we see now doing extremely well in this format. As we start going to combat, we're going to turn both our big fellies sideways, one of them being the powerful 6/5 and the other being this generous N5/7 on the right. Looks like we're going to be triple blocking. But this would kill 2. It does have trample.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy for that to kind of resolve, so to speak, just keeping our life total nice and high. So we're going to be dropping down to 10. We've got maybe a couple more big fatties coming down. It could be lights out as. Have we got removal spell? So we're on the stack. So it's got 3 damage on it. So now we only need to utilize 2 energy to get it off. We're chipping away. And while we're doing this now, every single spell we use to our advantage is going to be generating these bird tokens.
Yeah, that's why
Does
I
that
think...
look like a bird to you? I'm trying to see what it looks like. Oh, it's the head of a... Oh, okay. It's like a little chick. Got you.
Like Angry Bird style.
Very... Yes, Angry Bird style. Got you. And that's going to come in. So that's the start of the chip damage.
Yeah, I think a lot of I had a lot of discussion or people asking me, what do you think about this matchup? Because Jeskai plays Artifact Lands, but Ponce plays Fatties. So I think Jeskai is probably favored just because of Moonrunning Mystic. Like if you can land a Moonrunning Mystic on an early turn, then you basically lock the game in a couple of turns.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, the initiative has obviously been swapped across, so we can go find a basic, because we did that. The basic we found was the basic planes. We're now utilizing that straight away. This, I think we are. It's currently just there.
Yeah.
Did that go to hand, or is that...
No, I think that's an ephemerate. So.
No, that's not ephemerate. That's the new one, right? That generates
yeah,
energy.
no, I mean, he cast that, but he found the ephemerate.
Oh, okay. You cast it and found ephemerate from it. Sure, got you. Go.
From the reanimation of the Augur.
Got you. Here comes... How many times we're going to see this weekend? The Crystal's coming down, generating 2/0/1 Eldrazi spawns, which you can sacrifice to add 1 mana. So again, another way of ramping in this deck. But more importantly, I'd say in this bit right now is it has reach.
Yep.
So you can block some of these birds coming across. If we are able to take back the initiative, potentially we can kind of keep it for a little bit longer, because we do have now 2 creatures with reach on the battlefield, but only 1 fatty.
Yeah, but I think we saw that Palma has a counter spell in hand, and didn't even think about casting it on the Chrysalis, because I think once the control deck has also the initiative, you can't really lose. So you are probably willing to use the counter spell on a trampling guy, because of course 1/1 doesn't really block well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think since you unless something bad happens, like a triple cascade into another initiative guy, you have your game locked. Now you just have to win.
I was just about to say, so over on the Pond side, what is the cards that they need on top of their deck right now? Is it more Cascaders that cascade into Avenging Hunter?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. We'll see how that goes. Of course, no like hard removal in these decks, at least not the current versions that we're seeing a lot of. They've gone very heavy towards the Eldrazi version. I'm going to have a little look at this deck to see if there is anything crazy. Still Boiling Parties, Avenging Hunters, a bunch of ramp. There is a Colossal Dread Mask.
Yeah,
two copies of that.
That would be great now, because of course you play a lot of cards.
Boiling Party does not hit the Generous Ent, but does hit a land destruction. So we can take that planes off the battlefield potentially if it does resolve.
Mm-hmm.
How do I pronounce the name of this card? Is it Thermocast?
Thermocast.
Thermocast.
I mean, Thermocast is in Italian, but...
I think in English it's Thermocast.
Thermocast. Yep.
Yeah, I know that one thing that I've learned this weekend is this is the only printing of that card.
Yep.
And it's, after this weekend, potentially more valuable.
Yeah.
Because it's seeing a lot more play.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they told me they tried to order this, but didn't come in time.
I feel quite smug because I managed to get mine about 2 weeks ago. And, not that I'm ever going to sell them, but you feel smug when you kind of get in there before a card spikes. You're like, yeah, I feel good about that.
Do you know, I bought my sadistically, so the card spiked, but I left them home, so I had to rebuy them.
It's all right. I'll buy you playset off you. It's fine. I need 4 of those. I'll get them off you. We'll sort it out. We'll sort 7 out. So we're looking to decide on what cards we want to be turning sideways, because of course we want to get that initiative back. We do not want to leave it over on the control side right now. And I think we're just we're just going in with 2 of these, the Chrysalis and the Generous Ent. We're trying to get it off the battlefield. So currently right now this is going to be 1, 2, 3. Are these +1/+1 counters? Where did these come from?
For the initiative.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 5 damage. So that will be able to take this Chrysalis off the battlefield unless we've got a instant speed way of generating another Eldrazi's spawn token.
It looks like what's the pickup?
Didn't get a good look at it.
The white card.
Lawrence revealed, maybe? Or
The card that destroys the monster, but I remember.
Destroy Evil?
Destroy Evil, yes.
That's a heck of a find. Ephemerate. Every time I see Ephemerate cast, it reminds me of like, why is this card a card in Magic the Gathering? It's so good in so many different decks. Obviously, we've all lost to the Grief Ephemerate line before.
Yeah.
Where we just feel bad. We're like, oh, cool. Here, take my hand apart. Do what you need to do with it. Or it makes you keep a really bad opening hand. We're like, yeah, I'll just keep this opening 6 lands in my hand. Ha, got you.
Yeah, and they go like turn 1 Ragavan.
Yeah, turn back when you feel so bad about it. Okay. Next. And then back to the spec. At least especially we don't see Griefs. We don't see Ragavans in this format.
Yeah,
thank goodness.
We have Goblin Guide though.
Well, there is a Goblin Guide. That is true. Like when it first was cast, I was like, hold on, why have they got a 2/2 haste on turn 1? What just happened there? I'm not drawing any lands off it. Here we go. Adventure, moving down, but we're going down the left-hand side of the looks on this one. So the 2 counters are on there. So next time we actually gain the initiative, or the initiative triggers, we'll be able to do 5 damage to the face with Trap. Or we can go to, I can't remember what the middle room's called. I know it does go, I just can't remember the name of it.
Arena.
Is it the arena? That
Yes.
makes so much sense as well. I love D&D and I love all the little interactions it's got on it. Let me go to, definitely spelled that wrong, but whatever. There.
No, you need
That's
to
not that
search for the initiative dungeon.
It's going to be one of these. If I click enough, it'll come up.
No, it was the previous one.
This one?
Yeah.
Ah, there you go. But why can't I find a larger picture of it on my laptop? This is great content, by the way. I'm pretty sure everybody at home is like glued to their seats with me trying to Google this picture. See that one? There you go. Got there, chat. Thanks for sticking around. Appreciate it. So yeah, it is the arena. Go tight creature. But I feel like we're going to go down the trap route here, right? Like we wanted to get 5 more damage, kind of close this game down ASAP.
Yeah, I think...
this is what happened. The Avenging Hunters come down. It is now goaded the...
the Murmuring Mystic.
The Mystic, that's the one.
The thing is, this line is strong as long as the Jeskai Ephemerate player doesn't draw Ephemerate. Otherwise...
it removes it from it. Can't attack this turn. Sure, there's no other ways of tapping it down. We're getting in there. We're going to try and use up some of the resources on the other side, making them chump block this 5/7 generous Ent. They always like walking downhill. Fact, when here's the Destroy Evil that we're saying that we found. That's going to target the Hunter. Of course, it's got Trample, as you mentioned. That's really the pesky mechanic right now for us. We can just throw one of these birds underneath the generous Ent, and that's fine. We don't have to worry about it for this combat phase.
Yeah, it's pretty smart to destroy the Trampler. You also destroy an untapped creature that can block the Mystic. Because for now, the Mystic has 7 toughness. So
currently, we've got 7 power still at the minute, but it would cost us both of our creatures. Or no, I don't think it still cost us one of these creatures.
Yeah,
really.
but I imagine that the Jeskai player might have either a Bolt or a Galvanic Discharge.
Oh, I think we might have accidentally... No, okay. Yeah, we did pass the turn.
Yep.
There was because that little pause there. I thought, maybe we've drawn extra cards. But didn't. So, yeah, we're going to go to combat. Get in there with these 2. 3. That dice isn't extremely clear here. But I think there's two birds.
So it's three birds. Yeah.
Now, how are we going to block?
I think
we are
double
double
blocking the
block.
Mystic is great, I think. Because they really need to get that off the board.
Oh, okay, and as you said, there's no removal there. Like we had the opportunity there, we could have got completely blown out if there was a removal spell.
Yeah,
wasn't one, so that's good. Has the damage been done though? Is there still too many flyers on the battlefield for us to be able to deal with at this point? Is the initiative
maybe because
running away
now the initiative dealt 5 damage to the Ponza player.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there are exactly 5 boards. So unless the Ponza players start to see some generous Ent, but there is a food on the battlefield.
We spoke about that literally, or like what, turn 2, turn 3 or something crazy when it came down, and how relevant that food can be. Of course, the Paupergeddon exclusive token there you see at the bottom left of your screen might come in handy, especially in this racing situation. Big top deck. Looking for something big that cascades. We're tapping 5 mana, 6 mana,
7?
boarding party, another
Yeah,
boarding
sure.
party. Let's go cascading. That's going to go find... Okay, we were speaking about this.
That's great.
This isn't one we see too much, right? But in this instance, it's going to be great. This is the Evolution Witness. So for 2 mana, we can adapt it, get +2 counters on it, and when you add a +1/+1 counter to it, you can return an opponent from your graveyard to your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Very good when you got a lot of Cascaders in your graveyard.
I'm not sure if there is an hunter or something else.
Well, there's a boarding party there we can see on top, but there's also the big dinos in there as well, right?
I think so, yeah. So if there is the dinosaur, I would 100% go for there.
Yeah,
because it has reach. So I think you really need to try to kill these birds. So currently he has 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. So you can't immediately play the initiative.
I'm pretty sure you fire it off now, right? Like you would... is that a counter spell? Or am I seeing...
It's lose focus. So it's a counter spell with replicate.
So
basically you put a counter spell and copy it twice.
Oh, and we were able to pay the mana. So basically what we've done is we've tapped them out so they're not able to, adapt it this turn.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do draw a removal spell, that removal spell will be able to get it off the battlefield so we know that there's going to be no more coming from the graveyard. That's cool. I like it, but it does tap us out ourselves. So now we're going to turn both of these creatures sideways.
It's probably fine.
A little bit of chump blocking action going on here. How many birds do you reckon we've got left?
4.
4.
Yeah, I'm very curious. I expected this matchup to be a bit more lopsided, but I think both players missed a lot of initiative triggers.
Oh, so that's a great one when we're top decking.
Yeah.
Lawrence revealed.
Ancestor Recall.
So 3 cards getting added to the hand from the powerful sorcery with basic island cycling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the best cards from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, it's great.
For Pauper, yeah.
Just in general, it sees so much play, and we did find a removal spell, and so that is now going to get that off the battlefield. No adapting that, no getting back any big fatties from the graveyard, but it doesn't stop what's on top of our deck. As we untap.
Let's see if he remembers the initiative.
Suspension. Doesn't remember the initiative.
No, but I think the initiative is on the other player. Yeah.
Do you I like getting in there with the elf here. I'll trade the elf for one of these birds.
Probably.
You know, at this point in the game, it's not going to do much unless I draw a Dread Mask.
Mm-hmm.
But here is the initiative, or the dungeon being completed, so to speak. So let me get that bit of text up so I can read it word for all you beautiful people at home. When you open the Throne of the Dead free, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. Put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters. It gains hexproof until end of turn, then shuffle.
Yeah. So someone asked about the energy cards. So the card that removed the Evolution Witness was Galvanic Discharge. So it's a card that gives you free energy, and then you can use any amount of energy, and there's any amount of damage equal to the energy you spent to a target creature or planeswalker.
Great in these decks because obviously utilizing normally it's like Lightning Bolt, and we've seen things like Unholy Heat, we see things like Galvanic Blast. These damage it's a set. It's either 2, 3, 6, etc. With the Galvanic Blast, if we can utilize energy in our deck, we can build up to 10 energy. We can take out some of these 7 toughness creatures for 1 mana, which obviously is a great return, especially in these control decks.
Yeah, I also think that like before, the premium removal spell for the deck was Scred, but Scred wasn't great, especially because you're forced to play at least 8 artifact lands. So sometimes your run base wasn't clean to play Scred. But I think the discharge is great because, of course, you can play the first one for 2. And since you play Archeomancer, that's sort of a Snapcaster, you can record it and play it for 6 or 7 in late game.
Right, we're hard casting an Old Drifter here, so that's going to be a 2/2 anywhere in the battlefield that's going to draw us 2. And of course has the keyword flying on it. Another great target for an Ephemerate if any of them end up getting drawn. Can we... Oh, we're just going to play this elf. Sure, turn everything sideways. Now, obviously, we want to get in there with the elf, but I do feel like last turn, if we got in there with the elf, we would have forced a bit more of a chump block here to keep the initiative around. And yeah, our own initiative is really like coming back to bite us.
I think one of the 2 creatures, I think the Mystic should have 2+2+2. Sorry, or 3+2+2 plus
It
1
should,
counter.
should be a 5/5 at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it does. I think we just can't see it. That might be a dice there. I'm not entirely sure.
I don't think there are dices on the board.
Let's get it down to the judge staff so they can sort that out for us.
Maybe that this game is just ended now, so it's fine. Yep. So yeah, the game ended.
Just as I finished typing it out as well. Just as I finished. So yeah, they're going to be taking down that game. Number one you said it wasn't as lopsided. It's very back and forth, but at least I feel like the initiative was the key part on that.
Yeah.
One, players kind of sometimes missing the triggers on it, which really would have hurt. And the other one is just one person was able to keep hold of it longer than the other and just ride that to victory.
Yeah, I think though it's not great when you play the initiative and your opponent kills you with the initiative.
Do you think that in that instance, we should be cutting some of those Avenging Hunters then? Do you think they're just able to go too wide, too many little flyers that we're not able to block? So, I don't want to be giving my opponent the initiative again. Would you be trimming on these Avenging Hunters or taking them out completely?
I don't think so, because your plan is either way. Anyway, try to remove your opponent lands and make the fastest the threat possible. So I think the initiative is what you're looking for, because it costs 5. And it can take down the game by its own. So basically what you want to do is not reaching the point where your opponents start to play a Moonring Mystic and a lot of birds comes down at you.
Well, I'm looking at the sideboards now, so let's have a little talk about them. Starting on the Ponza side, we've got Breath Weapon, we've got Cast into the Fire, we've got Deglamour, we've got Feed the Clown, we've got Flare Palm, we've got Gorilla Shaman, and we've got Relic of Progenesis. Any of those cards take your fancy in this matchup?
I like to remove all my destroy target land cards and replace with 2 cast and for the Glimmer.
Okay.
And I think Relic of Progenitus is kind of a free 8 that can help you in the late game. And I think since the decklist aren't, the tournament is not open decklist, the Ponza player saw the reanimation spell, the white reanimation spell, so Relic might be another good reason. That would be another good reason to play Relic.
Is that like a good way to attack these ephemerate decks by having some sort of graveyard hate? Do they really utilize their graveyard a lot, or is it just it's nice to have? When it's good, it's going to be good. When it's not good, well, I can just cycle it.
Yeah, I think it's also good because those decks try to win with Archaeomancer. So if you trade 1 mana for 4, you're always happy.
Okay, cool. Over on the other side, we have got some red elemental blasts. We've got some blue elemental blasts. We've got some breath weapons. We've got some cast into the fires. We've got another destroy evil. We've got a remove. Is that remove sand?
Remove soul.
Soul. My eyes are not good. Not like what they used to be. Dismembers, and this one that I've never seen before. That I have
Dust to Dust.
Oh, Dust to Dust. I've never seen that art of Dust to Dust. It comes in white bordered.
It's from 7th edition or
5th edition
fifth
here.
edition, yeah.
The Dark 5th edition.
Yeah.
Modern Masters and stuff. Everyone I've seen so far today has been casting the Dark version. I didn't even know it came in white bordered.
Yeah.
I now want that in white bordered. Like all the cards that really get my opponent in my sideboard, like Boil and stuff, I have to have them in white bordered. Just really upset my opponents when we go through it. But so what do you like me bringing in here?
I think Remove Soul and Destroy Evil are the 2 cards you're looking for, because Remove Soul is actually another counter spell because your opponent only plays creatures.
Yep.
While Destroy Evil is a good removal that can also deal with like an Utopian Sprawl, if that's a thing.
Why remove Soul over Essence Scar? Same card, different name.
I think the best one is the one from Lord of the Rings. I forgot the name.
What does that one do? Why is that one better?
Because it's counter target creature spell, but if you counter a legendary creature, the ring tempts you. So it's basically a strictly better. And there is currently just one legendary card in Pauper. There is the new 6 mana goblin. It's called Skoa.
Yeah.
But I don't know, if the card has 1 more line of text, why not,
Why not? You know what I mean? It might come up. You never know.
Yeah.
If you can get into get the ring to tempt you enough. But both of these players are off to the races. Utopia Sprawl for our Ponza player at the bottom of the screen, trying to fight back, trying to take us to a game 3 and getting a Gorilla Shaman on the battlefield. So, maybe we're going to try and use this to get some of these artifact lands off the battlefield nice and early.
The thing is, the artifact lands are indestructible.
Do they not run any that are non-indestructible, or are they expecting some hate?
No.
Let's have a little look at the deck. Maybe this is a bit of sideboarding. Yep, indestructible on that one. Yep, indestructible on that one. Not indestructible. No, that's not an artifact land.
Yeah, I don't really get the Gorilla Shaman.
I have no idea why, but maybe they think there's some hate towards them is going to come in, or maybe they just needed a beatdown. Maybe sometimes you just need a 1-mana 1/1 that you can turn sideways 20 times to win the game.
Yeah,
we don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's got their reasons. I'm sure there is reasons, and that is a back-breaking reason right there. Wildfire is going to be, or Cleansing Wildfire is going to destroy that basic with the Utopia Spore on it.
You can't get that with the Wildfire though.
No,
okay.
we targeted our own creature and then we played that as our land for the turn.
Mm-hmm.
We are cooking on gas, as we like to say in the military.
Yeah.
Cooking on absolute gas on this Jeskai ephemerate list at the top of the end. Not only are we ahead of cards now, also our opponents' cards that they've boarded in aren't going to be lining up great towards our deck. We do manage to have a second land drop though, so that was off the top. Not having this crazy ramp ability which Ponzo is known for.
Yeah, but I'm not even sure why he's not even attacking with the Gorilla.
Defense. It's because that means that we can block any haste creature from our opponent. It is closed deck list. We don't know what we're playing around here, so
I think probably there is like when you go to the feature match, you might be a bit nervous. So
you can get very nervous in there. And of course, it is a very casual event in some sense. As I said, there's not like the diehards here, the full-on grinders. Everyone's here to have a great time. And, if you can do that in a format where you really enjoy, and Pauper is, of course, that format this weekend,